In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where stars glittered like scattered diamonds and planets spun in silent harmony, there existed a kingdom unlike any other. The kingdom of Zixthra was ruled by an ancient lineage of royal beings known as the Velathri, whose shimmering skin reflected the colors of their home planet's twin suns. They were revered across star systems for their wisdom, beauty, and unparalleled strength in diplomacy. But now, the throne lay empty, its weight too heavy to bear without a king. The late King Vorathan had been more than just a ruler. He was a symbol of unity among the diverse species that called Zixthra home. His death left behind not only grief but also chaos. Among his many heirs stood 7 daughters, each as unique and extraordinary as the worlds they represented. Princess Lysara, with her crystalline wings and sharp intellect, commanded respect wherever she went. Next came Princess Cavell, whose fiery temper matched her crimson scales. Then there was shy yet brilliant Princess Tynessa, followed by mischievous trickster Princess Varel, stoic warrior Princess Zarlan, enigmatic dreamer Princess Zindral, and finally, rebellious Princess Quirina, who never backed down from a challenge. As tradition dictated, these princesses would need to unite under one banner to ensure peace within the kingdom. However, fate had dealt them a cruel hand. None of the eligible suitors from neighboring realms could agree on terms for marriage alliances. Disputes erupted over treaties, trade routes, and territorial claims, threatening to tear apart what little remained of stability. It seemed impossible to find someone willing, or able, to step into the void left by King Vorathan. Enter Captain Ryland Drake, a human soldier stationed at the edge of civilized space. Known throughout the galaxy for his unorthodox tactics and quick thinking, Ryland had earned both admiration and disdain during his service. He wasn't exactly diplomatic material, nor did he aspire to be. Yet when news reached him about the brewing conflict in Zixthra, curiosity got the better of him. Perhaps it was the promise of adventure or simply boredom with routine patrols, but something compelled him to investigate further. Upon arriving at the opulent palace of Zixthra, Ryland found himself thrust into the heart of galactic politics. The air buzzed with tension as ambassadors argued loudly in ornate chambers adorned with golden filigree. Alien dignitaries exchanged thinly veiled insults while guards kept watchful eyes trained on every movement. Despite the grandeur surrounding him, Ryland felt out of place, a mere mortal amidst beings far older and more powerful than himself. It wasn't long before word spread of his presence. Whispers filled corridors, speculating why a human dared set foot in such hallowed halls. Some saw potential in this outsider, hoping he might offer fresh perspective untainted by interstellar grudges. Others viewed him skeptically, questioning whether Earth's representative could truly grasp the complexities at play here. Little did anyone know how deeply entangled Ryland would become in matters beyond comprehension. During one particularly heated debate, tempers flared between rival factions vying for control. Accusations flew back and forth until fists clenched tightly enough to draw blood. Just as violence threatened to erupt, Ryland stepped forward, voice cutting through the din like a blade. "Enough!" he bellowed, silencing all present. His unexpected intervention drew astonished stares, though no one dared interrupt. With calm authority, Ryland proposed a radical solution. Instead of continuing fruitless negotiations, let each faction nominate candidates to compete for the right to lead alongside the princesses. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Such audacity bordered on madness, yet intrigue simmered beneath shocked expressions. Could this human actually broker peace where seasoned diplomats failed? Before anyone could respond, a sudden tremor shook the palace grounds. Panic surged as alarms blared overhead. Outside, dark clouds gathered ominously, swirling faster than nature should allow. From the depths of the storm emerged monstrous creatures, hybrids born from nightmares themselves. Eyes glowed malevolently, claws extended menacingly, and roars reverberated through trembling walls. Chaos descended instantly. Ryland sprang into action, instincts honed from years of combat taking over. Grabbing whatever weapon lay closest, a ceremonial spear meant purely for display, he charged toward the nearest beast. With precision honed by countless battles, he struck true, piercing flesh and eliciting a pained shriek. Encouraged by his bravery, others joined the fray, wielding makeshift tools turned deadly implements against the invaders. Amidst the frenzy, Ryland noticed movement near the throne room entrance. There stood Princess Lysara, wings folded protectively around her sisters. Her gaze locked onto his, filled with equal parts fear and determination. Without hesitation, Rylan fought his way closer, shielding them from harm. Together, they formed a defensive line, fending off attackers while shouting orders to organize resistance efforts. Hours passed in relentless struggle before reinforcements finally arrived, driving the remaining monsters away. Exhaustion weighed heavily upon everyone, but relief washed over faces once danger subsided. As survivors regrouped, murmurs of gratitude echoed through weary voices. Many owed their lives to Rylan's quick thinking and unwavering courage. When order restored itself, attention turned back to resolving the crisis at hand. Though shaken, spirits lifted slightly, knowing unity prevailed even amidst adversity. And perhaps, just maybe, hope lingered that solutions might yet arise from unlikely places. As the dust settled and the wounded tended to their injuries, whispers began circulating amongst the courtiers and diplomats. Rumors painted Rylan as some kind of savior, a hero who single-handedly saved the princesses and protected the future of the kingdom. While exaggerated, the sentiment stuck. People looked at him differently now. Not just as a curious outsider, but as someone capable of making bold decisions under pressure. Back inside the Grand Hall, the council reconvened, though tensions still crackled in the air. The attack had exposed vulnerabilities none wanted to admit existed. Ambassador Dralvik, a towering insectoid with iridescent carapace, slammed his clawed fist onto the table. "This proves my point. We cannot trust outsiders to meddle in our affairs." His words sparked murmurs of agreement from several corners. But then Princess Cavell rose, her fiery red scales glowing brighter with indignation. "And I suppose your affairs include letting monsters rampage unchecked through our halls? Or perhaps you'd prefer we continue squabbling while the kingdom crumbles?" She fixed Dralvik with a glare sharp enough to cut steel. Captain Drake acted when no one else did. That deserves recognition. Her sister, Princess Zindral, chimed in softly, her voice carrying an ethereal quality that silenced the room. "Cavell is right. Desperation breeds innovation. Maybe Captain Drake's suggestion holds merit." Heads turned toward her, surprised by her rare outspokenness. Zindral rarely engaged in political debates, preferring solitude and contemplation. Yet here she stood, supporting the human. Encouraged, Rylan stepped forward again. This time, his tone carried less bravado and more thoughtfulness. "I understand your concerns," he said, addressing the assembled dignitaries. "But consider this, if we keep doing things the same way, we'll get the same results: chaos, division, destruction. What if we tried something different? Something unprecedented?" He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. "Let each faction nominate candidates to compete for leadership alongside the princesses. Not through war or threats, but through challenges designed to test wisdom, strength, and character. Whoever proves most worthy will earn the right to help guide Zixthra into a new era of peace." A murmur rippled through the crowd, skepticism warring with curiosity. Ambassador Dralvik scoffed, crossing his arms defiantly. "Preposterous! You suggest gambling the fate of an entire kingdom on contests? This isn't sport, it's survival." "And yet," interjected Princess Lysara, her crystalline wings shimmering faintly as she spoke, "what choice do we have? More fighting will only weaken us further. If Captain Drake believes this approach can work, shouldn't we at least hear him out?" The room fell silent as all eyes shifted between Rylan and the eldest princess. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Queen Mother Alarith, the widowed consort of King Vorathan, spoke up. Her voice, though gentle, carried the weight of authority. "Enough arguing. Let us vote. All those in favor of proceeding with Captain Drake's proposal, raise your hands." To everyone's astonishment, including Rylan's own, a majority raised their hands. Even some of the staunchest opponents reluctantly conceded, perhaps swayed by desperation or sheer curiosity. The decision was made. The Galactic Court would host a series of trials to determine who would lead Zixthra alongside the princesses. As the meeting adjourned, Rylan found himself cornered by Princess Corina, the youngest and most rebellious of the siblings. Her emerald eyes sparkled with mischief as she smirked at him. Well, Captain Drake. Looks like you've dug yourself quite the hole. Hope you're ready to face whatever comes next." Before he could respond, she darted off, leaving him standing alone in the corridor. For the first time since arriving, Rylan allowed himself a moment of reflection. What had he gotten himself into? Competing for leadership sounded daunting enough, but earning the trust of 7 vastly different princesses? That was another challenge entirely. Little did he know, the real surprises were only beginning. The following days blurred together in a whirlwind of preparation. News of the upcoming trials spread across the galaxy like wildfire, drawing contestants from every corner of known space. Warriors clad in gleaming armor, scholars burdened with ancient tomes, charismatic leaders accompanied by retinues of advisors, all converged upon the kingdom of Zixthra, eager to prove themselves worthy. The palace buzzed with activity as servants scurried to accommodate the influx of visitors, while artisans worked tirelessly to construct arenas and stages for the impending competitions. Meanwhile, Captain Rylan Drake found himself navigating unfamiliar territory. Each morning brought new rituals and customs to learn, protocols to follow, and expectations to meet. The princesses observed him closely, their reactions ranging from cautious curiosity to outright skepticism. Princess Cavell, ever fiery, challenged him daily during training sessions, testing his combat skills against hers. Sparks flew, both literal and metaphorical, as they clashed blades, neither willing to yield easily. Princess Tynessa, quieter but no less formidable, invited Rylan to join her in studying star charts and tactical simulations. Her brilliance intimidated even seasoned strategists, yet she seemed intrigued by his unconventional methods. Together, they pored over maps of alien territories, debating hypothetical scenarios and refining plans. Though initially hesitant, Rylan soon discovered that her insights complemented his instincts perfectly. Then there was Princess Varel, whose penchant for mischief often landed them in amusing predicaments. One afternoon, she convinced him to sneak into the royal kitchens to sample forbidden delicacies. Their laughter echoed through empty corridors as they dodged suspicious cooks wielding oversized ladles. By the time they escaped, cheeks flushed and stomachs full, Rylan realized how much lighter his mood had become. For all her tricks, Varel possessed a charm that put others at ease. Yet not every interaction proved so light-hearted. Princess Zarlan, stoic and disciplined, held herself apart from the rest. She regarded Rylan with cool detachment, rarely speaking unless necessary. When forced to collaborate during mock battles, her movements betrayed years of rigorous training. Every strike aimed to disarm rather than harm, yet Rylan sensed underlying frustration. Whether directed at him or circumstances beyond her control, he couldn't tell. Even Princess Zindril, usually content to observe silently, began seeking him out during quiet moments. They walked together beneath the twin suns, discussing dreams and fears alike. Her enigmatic nature fascinated him, though guarded, glimpses of vulnerability hinted at deeper layers waiting to be uncovered. Despite growing camaraderie, shadows loomed large. Other competitors eyed Rylan warily, some openly hostile. Whispers questioned whether a mere human could truly measure up against beings born to rule galaxies. Doubts gnawed at him too, especially late at night when silence pressed heavily against his thoughts. Could he really rise to such monumental responsibility? One evening, after a particularly grueling day of trials, Rylan retreated to a secluded garden overlooking the cityscape below. Stars twinkled above, casting soft light over lush foliage. Lost in contemplation, he barely noticed Princess Lysara approach until she spoke softly beside him. "You seem troubled." Startled, he turned to face her. Crystalline wings shimmered faintly in moonlight, framing features both regal and compassionate. "Just thinking," he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly. "About everything. These trials, the princesses, the kingdom, me." She nodded knowingly. "It's understandable. Few are asked to shoulder burdens like these. But remember, Captain Drake, you didn't choose this path blindly. You stepped forward because you believed change was possible." Her words struck a chord deep within him. Yes, uncertainty lingered, but so did resolve. If nothing else, Rylan knew one truth: giving up wasn't an option. Not when so much depended on finding a way forward. Unbeknownst to either of them, hidden eyes watched from afar. Figures cloaked in shadow whispered conspiratorially, plotting moves unseen by those caught up in daylight dramas. For while hope flickered brightly within palace walls, darker forces stirred beyond reach, determined to reshape destiny according to their own designs. As the first trial approached, anticipation crackled through the air like static electricity. Contestants gathered in the grand arena, a colossal structure carved directly into the mountainside. Its tiered seating accommodated thousands, ensuring every citizen, from noble dignitaries to humble workers, could witness history unfold. Banners fluttered overhead, emblazoned with symbols representing participating factions. Cheers erupted sporadically as crowds speculated which contender might prevail. Rylan stood amidst competitors, feeling oddly out of place despite recent camaraderie with the princesses. Beside him towered General Zarnex, a hulking reptilian warrior whose scales gleamed menacingly under artificial lights. Opposite loomed Lady Seraphine, an elegant humanoid draped in flowing robes that shimmered with embedded gemstones. Each participant exuded confidence, yet beneath facades lay nerves taut as bowstrings. Queen Mother Alarith ascended a dais overlooking proceedings, raising delicate hands for silence. Gradually, noise subsided until only expectant breaths filled the vast chamber. "Welcome, honored guests and brave contenders," she began, voice resonating clearly despite distance. "Today marks the beginning of trials destined to shape Zixthra's future. May fairness guide actions and honor dictate outcomes." With ceremonial flourish, she unveiled details of the initial challenge, a labyrinthine course designed to test wit, agility, and teamwork. Teams comprised randomly assigned pairs, one contestant partnered with one princess, must navigate treacherous terrain riddled with traps and puzzles. Success depended equally on individual prowess and cooperative strategy. Drawings determined pairings, eliciting varied reactions. Luck granted Rylan partnership with Princess Quirina, whose grin widened impishly upon hearing results. "Looks like we make quite the team, Captain," she teased, twirling a strand of hair idly. He chuckled nervously, unsure whether amusement masked apprehension or genuine excitement. As teams prepared, final instructions emphasized safety measures and fair play. Once gates opened, however, chaos reigned supreme. Initial stretches proved straightforward enough, allowing competitors to gauge surroundings cautiously. Soon, though, paths diverged unpredictably, forcing split-second decisions amidst shifting obstacles. Rylan quickly realized Quirina's recklessness balanced nicely against his cautious nature. Where he hesitated, weighing risks carefully, she plunged ahead boldly, trusting instincts honed by youthful daring. Together, they tackled dead ends and deciphered cryptic clues etched into stone walls. Laughter punctuated tense moments whenever missteps triggered harmless, but startling, traps. Midway through, disaster struck. A collapsing bridge separated them from rivals led by General Zarnex and Princess Zarlan. Dust choked lungs as debris settled, revealing impassable chasms blocking direct routes forward. Frustration bubbled over among stranded groups, tempers flaring dangerously close to breaking points. Quirina surveyed devastation grimly before turning to Rylan. "Got any bright ideas, oh fearless leader?" Sarcasm dripped thickly, masking underlying concern. Thinking quickly, Rylan pointed toward distant scaffolding remnants dangling precariously above abysses. "If we can reach those supports." He trailed off meaningfully, gauging feasibility versus folly. Without hesitation, Quirina grabbed his arm, dragging him toward precarious footholds. "Lead the way, then. After you, naturally." Winking cheekily, she scampered upward agilely, leaving him scrambling belatedly behind. Their audacious maneuver paid off spectacularly. Reaching stable platforms, they devised makeshift bridges using salvaged materials, inching carefully across yawning gaps. Progress slowed considerably, but determination fueled perseverance. Behind them, others attempted similar feats, though fewer succeeded without mishap. Finally emerging victorious, Rylan and Quirina crossed finish lines hand in hand, exhilaration washing over exhausted bodies. Applause thundered deafeningly as spectators celebrated triumph born of grit and ingenuity. Even stoic judges nodded approvingly, acknowledging skill displayed under duress. Yet celebrations proved short-lived. As winners basked briefly in glory, ominous rumblings echoed faintly nearby. At first dismissed as residual tremors from earlier destruction, vibrations intensified alarmingly fast. Suddenly, sections of arena walls crumbled inward, exposing hidden tunnels teeming with shadowy figures brandishing weapons ominously. Panic surged anew as invaders poured forth relentlessly, intent on disrupting proceedings violently. Shouts mingled with screams as chaos engulfed organized spectacle. Amidst pandemonium, Rylan instinctively positioned himself protectively before Quirina, scanning frantically for escape routes or reinforcements. Above, Queen Mother Alarith shouted commands urgently, rallying palace guards to counterattack swiftly. Meanwhile, Princess Lysara took flight, crystalline wings catching light dramatically as she soared gracefully above fray. Her commanding voice boomed authoritatively, directing coordinated defenses effectively. Together, defenders rallied valiantly, pushing back relentless onslaughts inch by bloody inch. Combatants clashed fiercely, exchanging blows with desperate ferocity. Sparks flew as metal met alien alloys, echoing clashes underscoring brutal reality facing beleaguered kingdom. Through smoke-filled corridors and crumbling architecture, battle raged unabated. Casualties mounted steadily, yet resolve strengthened proportionately. United momentarily by shared peril, former adversaries fought side by side, driven by common purpose overriding petty rivalries temporarily. Ultimately, superior numbers overwhelmed intruders, forcing retreat back into concealed passageways. Victory tasted bittersweet, tempered by losses suffered unnecessarily. As dust settled slowly, survivors regrouped somberly, assessing damage wrought recklessly. Questions lingered unanswered, haunting minds already burdened heavily. Who orchestrated ambush so brazenly? What motives drove attacks targeting sacred traditions openly? Speculation ran rampant, fueling paranoia exponentially. For Rylan, lingering doubts solidified resolve. Challenges ahead promised greater complexity, requiring heightened vigilance constantly. Yet amidst turmoil, bonds forged through adversity strengthened unexpectedly. Trust blossomed tentatively, bridging divides previously insurmountable. Standing shoulder to shoulder with princesses and peers alike, Rylan recognized pivotal truths crystallizing sharply. Destiny intertwined irrevocably now, binding fates inseparably moving forward. Whatever lay ahead, unity remained paramount priority overriding personal ambitions henceforth. Thus, amidst ruins smoldering quietly, seeds of renewal germinated hopefully. Outcomes uncertain, journeys commenced collectively, embracing uncertainties bravely. After all, legends weren't crafted solely through victories achieved effortlessly. True greatness emerged forged through trials endured courageously, shaping destinies destined to inspire generations henceforth. As repairs commenced on the battered arena, life within the palace resumed its rhythm, albeit with heightened caution. Guards patrolled more frequently, their vigilant eyes scanning for any sign of further trouble. The sense of unease lingered, a shadow cast over even the brightest moments. Yet amidst this tension, small joys persisted, laughter shared between allies, whispered confidences exchanged under starlit skies, and the quiet comfort of knowing they faced adversity together. Rylan found himself spending increasing amounts of time with the princesses, each interaction deepening his understanding of their unique personalities. Princess Lysara often sought him out during twilight hours, her crystalline wings reflecting the fading light as they discussed strategies and philosophies. She admired his pragmatism, though she occasionally teased him about his tendency to overthink. "Sometimes," she said one evening, "you must trust your instincts rather than dissect every possibility." Princess Cavell, on the other hand, continued to push him physically. Their sparring sessions became almost legendary among the palace staff, who would gather discreetly to watch the fiery princess go toe-to-toe with the determined human. Sparks flew, literally, thanks to her elemental abilities, and though Rylan rarely bested her, he earned her begrudging respect. "Not bad for a ground dweller," she remarked once, wiping sweat from her brow after a particularly intense bout. Meanwhile, Princess Tynessa introduced him to the wonders of Zixthran technology. In her private lab, filled with holographic displays and humming machines, she demonstrated inventions that defied conventional physics. Rylan marveled at devices capable of bending gravity or generating energy from ambient particles. Though much of it went over his head, he appreciated her enthusiasm and patience in explaining complex concepts. Princess Virel remained the wild card, always ready with a prank or a clever scheme. One memorable incident involved convincing Rylan to wear ceremonial robes dyed a garish shade of purple, a traditional color of good fortune, she claimed innocently. Only later did he discover the dye was semi-permanent, leaving him stuck with lavender-tinted skin for weeks. Despite her antics, her light-heartedness brought balance to the group, reminding everyone not to take themselves too seriously. Princess Zarlan still kept her distance, observing silently from the sidelines. Yet Rylan noticed subtle changes in her demeanor. During training exercises, she began offering brief nods of acknowledgement when he performed well. Once, after successfully coordinating a defense drill, she muttered, "Not completely incompetent," before walking away. It wasn't much, but it was progress. And then there was Princess Zindral, whose mysterious aura continued to fascinate him. She seemed to appear and disappear at will, often finding him during quiet moments when he least expected company. Their conversations ranged from profound musings on existence to simple observations about the beauty of the twin moons. Rylan couldn't shake the feeling that she saw through his facade, perceiving truths he hadn't fully acknowledged himself. The second trial loomed ahead, promising even greater challenges. This time, competitors would face a test of diplomacy, requiring them to negotiate treaties and resolve disputes among simulated alien factions. Diplomacy had never been Rylan's strong suit. He preferred action over negotiation, but he threw himself into preparation nonetheless. Under Princess Lysara's guidance, he studied cultural nuances and practiced persuasive rhetoric. To his surprise, he discovered a latent talent for finding common ground, even in seemingly irreconcilable conflicts. Yet outside the controlled environment of practice sessions, tensions simmered. Whispers of sabotage spread like wildfire, fueled by suspicions about the previous attack. Some accused rival factions of orchestrating the invasion to eliminate competition. Others pointed fingers at disgruntled nobles unhappy with the direction of the trials. Even internal divisions within the royal family surfaced, as Princess Quirina openly criticized her sister's willingness to trust outsiders. "You're putting too much faith in him," she snapped during one heated argument, gesturing angrily at Rylan. "He's just a human. What does he know about ruling a kingdom like ours?" "He knows more than you give him credit for," Princess Lysara shot back, her voice icy. "And unlike some people, he doesn't let pride blind him to possibilities." The exchange ended in a stalemate, but the rift it exposed worried Rylan. He understood Quirina's protectiveness. It stemmed from love for her family and kingdom, but her hostility threatened to undermine fragile alliances. Determined to prove her wrong, he resolved to approach the next trial with renewed focus. On the eve of the diplomatic challenge, Rylan wandered the palace gardens, seeking solace in the tranquil surroundings. The scent of exotic flowers mingled with the cool night air, soothing his frazzled nerves. As he rounded a corner, he nearly collided with Princess Zindral, who stood gazing up at the stars. "Beautiful, aren't they?" she murmured, not turning to look at him. "Every culture has stories about the constellations. Some sea gods, others heroes, and a few, simply patterns." Rylan joined her, tilting his head back to admire the celestial tapestry. "What do you see?" he asked curiously. She smiled faintly. "Possibilities. Endless connections waiting to be made." After a pause, she added, "You remind me of the stars, Captain Drake. Unpredictable, yet full of potential." Her words stayed with him long after they parted ways, lingering in his mind like a half-remembered melody. Perhaps, he thought, that was all anyone could hope for, to shine brightly, even amidst uncertainty. The morning of the second trial dawned clear and crisp, sunlight streaming through stained glass windows to paint colorful patterns on marble floors. Contestants filed into the grand hall, where elaborate holographic projections depicted various alien societies. Judges explained the task. Each team must draft agreements addressing resource allocation, territorial disputes, and cultural exchanges. Points would be awarded based on creativity, fairness, and feasibility. Rylan partnered with Princess Lysara, whose diplomatic acumen complemented his growing skills. Together, they tackled scenarios involving trade embargoes, religious conflicts, and environmental crises. Hours passed in intense concentration, punctuated by bursts of inspiration and occasional disagreements. Slowly but surely, they crafted solutions that balanced competing interests without compromising core values. As the trial concluded, judges deliberated in hushed tones. Anticipation crackled through the room, palpable enough to taste. Finally, Queen Mother Alarith stepped forward to announce results. Teams received scores reflecting performance, with Rylan and Lysara placing highly due to innovative approaches and mutual cooperation. Cheers erupted, though muted compared to previous celebrations. Fatigue weighed heavily on participants, compounded by unresolved tensions simmering beneath surfaces. Yet amidst exhaustion, camaraderie strengthened bonds forged through shared struggles. That night, as Rylan drifted off to sleep, dreams carried him to distant worlds untouched by strife. In visions, he walked alongside princesses transformed, not by crowns or titles, but by unity transcending differences. Together, they built bridges spanning galaxies, creating futures brighter than imagined possible. Yet reality intruded persistently, whispering reminders of challenges awaiting resolution. Shadows lengthened ominously, hinting at storms gathering strength beyond horizons. For now, peace prevailed tentatively, fragile as glass spun finely. But winds shifted unpredictably, carrying echoes of battles yet unfought, alliances yet untested. Dawn approached inexorably, heralding trials destined to redefine destinies irrevocably moving forward. The final trial loomed large on the horizon, casting a long shadow over the palace and its inhabitants. This last challenge would determine not only who was most worthy to lead alongside the princesses, but also whether Zixthra could truly step into a new era of peace and unity. Contestants prepared with grim determination, knowing that failure here meant more than personal defeat. It could mean chaos for the entire kingdom. Rylan Drake stood apart from the others, staring out at the twin suns rising over the horizon. His journey had been anything but predictable, from an outsider thrust into galactic politics to someone deeply entwined in the fate of a royal family. He felt the weight of expectation pressing down on him, yet he also carried something else, a quiet confidence forged through trials faced and bonds formed. Beside him, Princess Quirina leaned casually against the railing, her emerald eyes glinting mischievously. "So, Captain," she said, breaking the silence, "ready to save the galaxy one more time?" Rylan chuckled softly, shaking his head. "I don't know about saving the galaxy, but I'm ready to give it my best shot." Quirina smirked, though there was a flicker of vulnerability in her gaze. "You've come a long way since you first stepped foot in this palace. Hard to believe you're the same guy who almost got himself skewered by Cavell's blade during training." "Hey, I learned quickly," Rylan replied with a grin. "Besides, your sister's just sore because I beat her once." "You wish," came Cavell's voice as she approached, overhearing their conversation. Her crimson scales shimmered in the morning light, and despite her usual fiery demeanor, there was a hint of warmth in her tone. "Don't get cocky, human. One lucky strike doesn't make you invincible." As the three shared a laugh, the other princesses joined them, each bringing their own unique energy. Lysara's calm wisdom anchored the group, while Tynessa offered insights gleaned from countless hours of strategizing together. Varel added levity with a playful jab at Rylan's lavender-tinted skin, which still hadn't completely faded, and even Zarlan graced them with a rare smile. Zindril lingered quietly, her presence grounding them all like a steady heartbeat. When the moment came to gather for the final trial, the atmosphere was electric. The arena transformed into a sprawling simulation of Zixthra itself, complete with holographic cities, forests, and oceans teeming with life. Contestants were tasked with navigating this virtual realm, resolving crises ranging from natural disasters to political uprisings, all while maintaining harmony among the diverse populations. Teams dispersed across the simulated landscape, tackling challenges designed to test every facet of leadership. Rylan and Lysara worked seamlessly together, their partnership strengthened by weeks of collaboration. When a volcanic eruption threatened a coastal city, they coordinated evacuation efforts with precision, earning praise from both judges and citizens within the simulation. Meanwhile, Cavell and another contender quelled riots sparked by resource shortages, demonstrating quick thinking and decisive action. Yet the real test came when a mysterious figure appeared in the simulation, a rogue AI claiming responsibility for previous attacks on the palace. Its voice echoed ominously, demanding unconditional surrender or promising destruction. Panic spread among participants, many unsure how to respond to such an unprecedented threat. It was Rylan who stepped forward, addressing the AI directly. "We won't bow to fear," he declared firmly, his voice carrying authority that silenced dissenters. "If you want to destroy us, then do it. But if you're looking for a solution, we'll find one, together." His words resonated deeply, inspiring others to rally behind him. Working collectively, the teams devised a plan to neutralize the AI without resorting to violence. By appealing to its logic and proposing alternatives aligned with its stated goals, they managed to deactivate it peacefully. The simulation dissolved moments later, leaving everyone breathless but victorious. Judges conferred briefly before announcing the results. Points tallied, deliberations concluded, and finally, Queen Mother Alarith rose to deliver the verdict. The crowd held its collective breath as she spoke. After much consideration, the Galactic Court has reached a decision. While many contenders demonstrated remarkable skill and courage, one individual stood above the rest, not merely through strength or strategy, but through unity and compassion. She paused, letting anticipation build. Captain Ryland Drake has proven himself not only capable but deserving of leadership alongside the princesses of Zixthra. A deafening cheer erupted, echoing through the arena as people leapt to their feet. Ryland froze, stunned by the proclamation. Around him, the princesses beamed, their pride evident. Even Quirina clapped enthusiastically, her earlier skepticism replaced by genuine admiration. But the surprises didn't end there. As tradition dictated, the ruling also included a matrimonial clause, an ancient custom ensuring lasting alliances between leaders. All 7 princesses would marry Rylan, binding him irrevocably to the kingdom and its people. Gasps rippled through the audience, followed by murmurs of approval. It was unconventional, yes, but given the circumstances, it made perfect sense. When the initial shock wore off, Rylan turned to face the princesses. Each looked at him expectantly, waiting for his response. Taking a deep breath, he smiled warmly. "If this is what destiny has in store for me," he said, his voice steady and sincere, "then I couldn't ask for better companions to share it with." Tears glistened in some of their eyes, joy radiating from each expression. They embraced him one by one, sealing their bond with heartfelt promises of support and love. Together, they represented hope for a brighter future, not just for Zixthra, but for the galaxy as a whole. In the days that followed, preparations for the grand wedding celebration began in earnest. Festivities filled the air with music, laughter, and vibrant colors. Delegations arrived from distant star systems, eager to witness history unfold. And amidst the whirlwind of activity, Rylan found solace in the knowledge that he wasn't alone. The princesses stood by his side, united not by obligation but by choice. On the day of the ceremony, as twin suns bathed the kingdom in golden light, Rylan stood before the assembled crowd, flanked by his brides. Their vows echoed through the halls, promising loyalty, understanding, and unwavering partnership. Cheers erupted once more, celebrating not just a union but a new chapter for Zixthra. As fireworks lit up the night sky, painting constellations across the heavens, Rylan reflected on his journey. From an ordinary soldier to a leader beloved by an extraordinary family, he had traveled far beyond any path he could have imagined. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. With the princesses by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so, under the watchful eyes of stars and citizens alike, the kingdom of Zixthra entered a new era, one defined not by division but by unity, not by fear but by hope. Together, they proved that even the most unlikely alliances could forge destinies greater than anyone dreamed possible.